Coming up on First at 4, the UK men's basketball team is in Perry County, but instead of hitting the hardwood, they were putting hammers to work and raising walls. And Vice President Kamala Harris made history at last night's Democratic National Convention. The details on her speech, plus what's next for the nominee.
And welcome to the weekend where we have temperatures in the low to mid 80s, and that warming trend will continue. Details on the First Alert forecast in a few minutes.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon and happy Friday. I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, crews working on homes in the Blue Sky subdivision received some help today from another crew in blue. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox was there.
Investing back into communities, watching them every season. The University of Kentucky basketball team was in the Blue Sky subdivision in Perry County. They partnered with the Housing Development Alliance, helping build homes for those wanting to live on higher ground. Head coach Mark Pope says there are multiple reasons to give back to their supporters.
This is Kentucky's team. It's not our team. We say that all the time. It's not our team. It's not my team. It's not the players' team. It's Kentucky's team. And you know, we have a function here that's number one, first and foremost, winning games. But then there's a lot of other things that are just as important. This is the state's team.
Players and coaches put hammers to work and raise walls, among many other things. The home, which you see behind me, is being built for a family in Breathitt County, which was impacted by the July 2022 flood. In Perry County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
The players rotated between 4 homes. Coming up at 6, we'll hear from some of the players and the Breathitt County family having one of those homes built. On April 4th, 1977, a historic flood hit parts of the region. One effect of that flood was wiping out the black community of Georgetown in Harlan County. Today, a plaque was presented to commemorate the families who lived in Georgetown. New plaques for the graduating classes of Rosenwald High School. The schools served by Harlan County's black community from the 1920s to the 1960s were also put where the high school once stood.
Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren would come back and see that, and they'll remember, okay, this was mama, grandma, grandpa, whatever. So the history is good that we preserve somewhat, but it's different. It's different for us, so. But I'm glad they're doing this.
Georgetown was the black community where the Harlan Green Dragons now play football.
Well, welcome to the weekend, and a beautiful weekend at that. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 80s, and we'll see plenty of sunshine. And right now, we're seeing a mixture of sun and clouds out there. You can see the tower cam at Buffalo Mountain. Again, a beautiful start to the weekend. Temperatures right now are in the 70s and 80s. We're at 80 in Jackson, 82 Hazard. Prestonsburg's at 83, 85 in Irvin, 84 in Moorhead. Take a look here at live pinpoint Doppler radar, and live pinpoint Doppler radar is still on a nice vacation, if you will. We're seeing a clean sweep across eastern Kentucky, not just across eastern Kentucky, but across the Ohio Valley, as well as the Tennessee Valley at this hour, too, as high pressure, our nice fair weather friend, is staying in control. The next 12 hours keeps temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s by 7 o'clock, upper 60s by the 11 o'clock time frame, and then 62 by 5 a.m. When you wake up in the morning, we'll see temperatures in the 50s and 60s, but the 90s will make a return somewhere on the 7-day forecast, and so do rain chances. Details in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thank you. Another change in the race for the White House. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is suspending his campaign for president and endorsing former President Donald Trump. He made the announcement a short time ago at a news conference in Arizona. RFK Jr. says you will still find his name on the ballot in some states, but he is also in the process of being removed from the ballot in 10 key battleground states, including Pennsylvania and Arizona. RFK Jr. also talked about Democrats dismantling democracy. We'll have more on that ahead at 5:30. Vice President Kamala Harris made history last night as she became the first woman of color to accept the presidential nomination for a major political party. CBS's Caroline Cummings is in Chicago with more on the big close to the Democratic National Convention.
I promise to be a president for all Americans.
Vice President Kamala Harris called for unity as she accepted the Democratic nomination for president. She hit on many of the top voter issues, including the border, blaming former President Donald Trump for pressuring Republicans to torpedo a deal.
As president, I will bring back the bipartisan border security bill that he killed, and I will sign it into law.
Harris also addressed the economy, reproductive rights, and the war in Gaza.
Now is the time to get a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done.
And the former prosecutor went after Trump on foreign policy.
Trump won't hold autocrats accountable because he wants to be an autocrat himself.
There was a heavy emphasis on domestic issues, including respect for veterans and gun violence. But for many, the highlight was seeing Harris make history as the first Black and South Asian woman atop a major party presidential ticket.
As a woman myself, as a mother, as a Black person, it's just been an incredible night.
Harris is expected back on the campaign trail next week. In just over 2 weeks, she's set to face off against Trump in a debate. Caroline Cummings, CBS News, Chicago.
Singer Pink and the Chicks performed during last night's program. There was some speculation and anticipation that Beyonce would make a surprise appearance after TMZ reported it, but that did not materialize. Now that the presidential conventions are over, did you ever wonder what happens to all the amazing displays of party pride? Many of the hats, signs, and other memorabilia wind up in the Smithsonian National Museum of American History. Since 1988, the museum has been sending teams of political history curators to collect items before they end up in the trash. All of it is made to help the political parties put on a good show and win votes.
It really demonstrates a very active way in which individuals participate in the democratic process.
Why is it so important to preserve it?
I think the objects are really important because somebody used them. It's not just something they watched on television, but it's something they wore or they carried, and it meant something to them.
The Smithsonian already has an impressive display of old press passes, plenty of posters, and even a homemade pineapple hat worn in 1996 by fans of the late Bob Dole. Coming up on First at 4, it's the first high school football Friday of the season here in Kentucky. We'll have a look at some of the biggest games of the night.
And in the world of weather, if you're going out to the ARH game of the week, I'll have that forecast coming up in a few minutes. Stay with us.